For most of our lives, we've been told the same simple truth: eat more fish. It's good for your heart. That advice became almost sacred. Doctors said it, magazines printed it, and families across America built their meals around it. A piece of salmon on the grill, a can of tuna in the pantry, a plate of fried catfish on a Friday night. These felt like healthy, wholesome traditions. But somewhere along the way, something changed. The fish we eat today isn't always the same fish our parents caught decades ago. The ocean has changed, the way we raise fish has changed, and even the way we process it before it reaches our table has changed. And for many older adults, especially after 60, those changes matter more than we realize. Imagine this: you sit down to dinner, proud of making a heart-smart choice. The fish looks perfect, light, fresh, maybe even labeled, good source of omega-3s. You take a bite, believing you're doing something kind for your arteries. Yet inside your body, something different begins to happen. Instead of lowering inflammation, the fats in that fish may be fueling it. Instead of cleaning your blood vessels, the hidden sodium or pollutants might be quietly tightening them. No one warns us that not every fish is your friend. The truth is uncomfortable, but it's simple. Certain species carry things your aging body no longer handles well: heavy metals like mercury, residues of industrial pollution, or unnatural fats that make blood thicker and stiffer. Over time, these invisible guests become part of you. They settle in your tissues, raise your blood pressure, and make your circulation work harder than it should. That's why so many people past 60 who think they're eating healthy still find their cholesterol stubborn, their pressure creeping up, or their energy fading. It's not just about eating fish, it's about eating the right fish. So in this story, let's slow down together and look at what's really on our plates. We'll talk about how fish once known for healing the heart can, under modern conditions, quietly harm it, and how a few small, mindful changes can protect your heart, your mind, and your independence for years to come. If you've ever wondered why doing everything right still leaves you feeling tired or inflamed, stay with me, and if you've learned something new by the end, leave a comment and share your experience. Your insight might help another person your age choose a better path toward health. Because this isn't about fear, it's about awareness, and the gentle power of choosing wisely. As we move through the later chapters of life, our bodies start to whisper truths that we didn't hear in our younger years. A little stiffness in the morning, a slower recovery after a meal, a night when the heart seems to beat just a bit too fast. None of it feels dramatic. Yet together they tell a quiet story: the body has changed. The same foods that once gave us strength and energy can now act differently inside us. The system that filters and protects us, the liver, the kidneys, the arteries that carry life through every cell, isn't as quick to clear away what doesn't belong. The toxins that once passed through unnoticed now linger. The salt that used to mean flavor now means swelling fingers, a heavier heart, and restless sleep. Fish fits right into that story. We still think of it as light, gentle, and full of good fats. And in many cases, that's true, but not all fish swim in clean waters anymore. And not all are raised the way nature intended. A growing share of the seafood on our plates now comes from farms, enormous underwater cages where thousands of fish are packed together, fed pellets made from corn, soy, or even animal byproducts, instead of feeding on tiny crustaceans or plankton like they would in the wild. These fish grow faster and fatter on cheap, unnatural food. And just as with people, when the diet changes, so does the body. Farmed fish develop a very different kind of fat, one that's rich in omega-6 instead of omega-3. It's a small chemical shift, but inside your arteries it can make a world of difference. Omega-3s keep blood thin and vessels flexible. Omega-6s do the opposite: they make blood stickier, the vessels tighter, and inflammation stronger. Inflammation, that silent word we hear so often, is really the beginning of most of the troubles we fear with age. It doesn't hurt the way a cut or bruise does, but it slowly erodes the smooth lining of our arteries, making them rough and prone to plaque. It stiffens the joints, clouds the memory, and leaves us feeling heavy even after a light meal. And every time we eat something that feeds it, salty foods, processed oils, or the wrong kind of fish, the flame burns just a little brighter. When we were younger, our bodies could put out that fire on their own. Now, the fire keeps smoldering. That's why one meal that seems harmless today can add up to something much larger months or years from now: a higher blood pressure reading, a cholesterol number that won't budge, or in the worst case, a sudden stroke that seems to come from nowhere. Understanding this isn't meant to scare us, it's meant to give us back control. Because once we see the pattern, we can change it. We can choose fish that calm the body instead of inflaming it. We can favor smaller species that don't live long enough to absorb heavy metals. We can cook with care, letting flavor come from herbs, lemon, and olive oil instead of salt or frying oil. After 60, the goal isn't perfection, it's gentleness. Gentle food, gentle habits, gentle care for the body that's carried us through a lifetime. And when we treat that body kindly, it rewards us with clearer mornings, steadier energy, and a heart that keeps on beating strong. Now that we understand why some fish can quietly turn against us, let's look closer at the ones that deserve our attention, the species that pretend to be healthy but, under today's conditions, may be working against our heart. Walk through any grocery store and you'll see row after row of neatly wrapped fillets, pink salmon, pale tilapia, shiny tuna cans stacked high. Each one whispers the same promise, I'm good for your heart. But sometimes, that promise hides a story we were never told. Take salmon, for instance, the symbol of health itself. For years, we've been told it's the perfect protein, a miracle for the heart, and in its natural form, swimming through cold Alaskan waters. That's absolutely true, but most salmon today never swim freely. They're born and raised in crowded farms, shoulder to shoulder in cages where the water barely moves. Instead of eating plankton and tiny fish, they're fed pellets made from corn, soy, and fish oil. Over time, this changes them completely. Their fat becomes heavier, their color duller, their omega-3s fewer. To make the fillets look pink and appealing, farmers add colorants to the feed. When you see that color added label on a packet of salmon, you're not just paying for a pigment, you're paying for a product that's been designed to look healthy, not necessarily be healthy. These farmed fish carry traces of pollutants, old industrial chemicals that never really leave the environment. They settle in the fish's fat, and when we eat it, they quietly settle in us. Then there's tilapia, the light fish so many people love for its mild flavor and low price. It feels harmless, even gentle on digestion, but behind that gentle taste lies an imbalance that troubles the body. Farmed tilapia often contain far more omega-6 than omega-3, sometimes 10 times more. Instead of calming inflammation, it stirs it. Instead of softening arteries, it makes them rigid. For older adults trying to keep blood pressure under control, that's a hidden battle happening inside, unseen but persistent. And let's not forget the humble can of tuna, a staple for so many seniors who live alone or cook simple meals. Quick, affordable, packed with protein, but hidden inside that convenience is a metal your body can't easily get rid of, mercury. Larger species of tuna, especially white or albacore, absorb mercury as they feed through the years. Once it's in your body, it stays, slowly damaging the lining of your blood vessels and dulling the brain's sharpness. Add to that the sodium often packed in those cans, and what seems like a clean, light lunch becomes a quiet strain on your heart. Other fish carry similar secrets. Swordfish, for example, looks elegant on the restaurant menu. Its firm white meat glistening under the lights. But swordfish is a predator that lives long and feeds high on the food chain, which means it collects mercury in amounts far above what a healthy body can handle. The same is true for the so-called king mackerel, royal in name, but not in purity. These large fish have spent years soaking up the ocean's toxins. The very fats that should protect the heart end up carrying poisons that damage it instead. Even fish that seem simple and safe can mislead us. Smoked fish, that soft, savory indulgence on a Sunday morning bagel, may taste light but hides a mountain of salt. Just a small serving can deliver nearly half your daily sodium limit. It's not just about thirst or bloating. That salt keeps your blood vessels tense, your heart pumping harder, your sleep shallower. For an aging heart, that pressure builds quietly until one morning the numbers on the blood pressure monitor tell the truth. And what about fried fish? That golden crunch so many of us grew up with, it feels like comfort, like home, but frying transforms the very nature of fish. The healthy fats burn away, replaced by oxidized oils that act like rust on the inside of our arteries. Week after week, that Friday fish fry becomes less a celebration and more a risk we don't see coming. Even the once beloved cod and catfish are no longer what they used to be. Atlantic cod, once caught in the cold clean waters off New England, is now often farmed or caught near industrial zones where waste and heavy metals drift unseen. Catfish, the southern favorite, now comes mostly from ponds where chemicals keep thousands of fish alive in shallow, still water. They grow fast, but they lose what made them pure. Their fat shifts, their flesh holds traces of antibiotics, and their nourishment becomes shadowed by what they were fed. None of this means fish itself has become the enemy. The danger lies in how we've changed it, how we've pushed nature to produce faster, cheaper, and prettier. What was once a source of vitality has, in some cases, become a slow, silent burden for the heart. The hardest part is that you can't tell by looking. A fillet may look flawless, bright, and clean, yet carry what your eyes can't see: metals, salts, and fats that age the arteries from the inside. But here's the hope: awareness changes everything. Once you understand the story behind each fish, you start to read the labels differently. You pause a little longer before picking up that sale-priced salmon or that familiar can of tuna. You ask where it came from, how it was raised, and whether it still deserves a place on your plate. Because the truth isn't that fish has failed us, it's that we've learned how to choose better. After learning how the wrong fish can quietly work against us, many people feel a little uneasy. They look at their grocery cart and wonder, well then, what's left for me to eat? But here's the beautiful part: the sea still offers plenty of choices that truly love your heart back. It's not about giving up what you enjoy, it's about choosing with care, with awareness, and with a bit more patience than before. The first secret to remember is simple: smaller fish are safer. Tiny fish like sardines, anchovies, and small trout live short lives and don't have time to gather mercury or industrial toxins. They swim freely, eat naturally, and pass their clean nutrients on to you. Their flavor may be stronger, but so is their goodness. A few bites can provide more heart-protective omega-3s than larger fish ever could. Next, choose wild whenever possible. Wild fish grow in their natural rhythm, feeding on what nature intended. They aren't forced to eat grains or fats that change their chemistry. Their flesh carries balance, just the right ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, and their bodies stay lean, not bloated with farm feed. When you see wild-caught Alaskan salmon or wild Pacific cod, that label is worth the little extra it costs. What you're really buying is freedom, the freedom of the fish, and the freedom of your own arteries. Clean waters make clean bodies, both theirs and ours. That's why location matters. Fish caught in the cold Pacific or Alaskan waters usually come from environments with less pollution. Meanwhile, many coastal farms or tropical ponds operate near industrial zones where runoff seeps unseen into the water. It's not always about one country or another, it's about how much care is taken to keep the ecosystem pure. When in doubt, ask your fishmonger or read where the fish was sourced. A few seconds of curiosity can save years of health. Then there's the way we cook, a choice that's just as important as the fish itself. The healthiest piece of salmon can turn heavy on the heart when drowned in salt or fried oil. But that same salmon, brushed with olive oil, baked with herbs, and finished with a squeeze of lemon, becomes medicine on a plate. Steam, bake, or grill whenever you can. Let flavor come from garlic, rosemary, dill, or a bit of black pepper instead of salt. Your taste buds might need a week to adjust, but once they do, you'll start to notice something wonderful: the natural sweetness of the fish, the softness of the olive oil, the calm in your heartbeat after dinner. And moderation, always moderation. Even the cleanest fish, eaten every day, can bring too much mercury over time. Twice a week is enough for the body to gain the benefits without the burden. Think of it as giving your body space to rest and recover. The same way you might alternate between exercise and gentle days of walking. For those who take fish oil supplements, quality matters there too. Not every shiny bottle delivers what it promises. Look for oils made from wild, cold water fish, purified for heavy metals. And remember, no capsule can replace the joy of a real, simple meal cooked at home. The truth is, our relationship with food changes as we age. Not because we must eat less, but because we deserve to eat better. We've earned the right to slow down and notice where our nourishment comes from. To let each choice feel like an act of care, not restriction. Choosing cleaner fish is not a punishment, it's a small daily gift, a quiet way of telling your heart, I'm still looking out for you. When you fill your kitchen with these choices, you begin to notice the difference. The swelling in your hands eases. Your sleep grows deeper. You wake up lighter, not just in body, but in mind. That's what real food does. It heals gently, steadily, without fanfare. So the next time you stand by the seafood counter, let your eyes linger a moment longer. Read the label, ask a question, pick what feels honest and pure. You're not just buying dinner, you're building tomorrow's heartbeat. At this stage in life, we begin to understand something younger people rarely notice, that health isn't built from grand gestures or strict diets, but from the small, steady choices we make every day. It's not the single meal that matters most, but the quiet pattern formed over months, even years, the pattern that tells our hearts, you are safe here. Each meal we share, each bite we take, is a kind of conversation with the body that's carried us through decades of laughter, loss, and love. That body has served faithfully, even when we didn't always return the favor. And now, in these later chapters, it asks for nothing complicated, only kindness. A little less salt, a little more patience, fewer shortcuts, more awareness. Choosing the right fish is one small way of showing that kindness. It's an act of protection, not out of fear, but out of gratitude, because behind every strong heartbeat is a lifetime of memories still waiting to be made. Another sunrise. Another phone call with a grandchild. Another walk by the water when the air is cool and gentle. The truth is, after 60, we stop chasing perfection and start choosing peace. Peace in how we move, how we sleep, how we eat, and that peace begins when we know what's on our plate, when we trade the factory-raised, the overly salted, and the fried for something simple, clean, and alive. Remember this: if it's wild, small, and pure, it heals. That's the quiet rule of the heart. Nature never meant food to be complicated, it only asks that we respect where it comes from and what it does inside us. So the next time you cook, take a breath, let the kitchen fill with the smell of olive oil, lemon, maybe a little garlic. Sit down without rushing, taste the effort you made to care for yourself. That's what longevity really means, not living forever, but living well, every single day you're given. And if something you heard today surprised you, or made you think differently about the fish you eat, share your thoughts in the comments below. Someone else might be reading, unsure of where to start, and your experience could be the nudge they need. If you've found comfort or clarity in these words, stay with us here at Ageless Vitality. We're building a small corner of the internet where age isn't an ending, it's the beginning of wisdom. A place where we keep learning, keep choosing, and keep living with intention. So like this video if it resonated with you. Subscribe if you'd like more gentle guides like this one. And most of all, share it with someone you care about. Because knowledge like this doesn't just add years to your life, it adds life to your years. Take care of your heart. It has carried you a long way, and it still has so much left to give.